Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope you're having an amazing day, because if you're having an amazing day, I'm having an amazing day. And if I'm having an amazing day, you too should be having an amazing day. Don't mind me. Okay, today I'm gonna just yak with you a bit about the topic of quote-unquote American liberalism and why American leftism is really an oxymoron, right? Now, you often hear people in America, on the right wing, on the right-hand side of the political spectrum, going like, oh, the woke mob has taken over town, oh, liberals used to be sane in the 50s and 60s. Liberals these days are going crazy because of social justice warriors, and as if social justice is actually a bad thing. And the left has gone cuckoo. The left has swung so far to the left, it's now regressive. And people like Bill Maher, these are moderate leftists, right? Yeah, you often hear people on the right-hand side of the political spectrum praising Bill Maher as a quote-unquote moderate leftist. But the thing is, Bill Maher hardly ever counts as a liberal by universal standards, right? Now, granted, by American standards, because America is such a right-wing conservative country, somebody like Bill Maher could make the cut as someone who's liberal because he's only marginally less crazy than those people on the right. I hate to break it to you, but Bill Maher by no stretch of the imagination counts as a left-winger, right? And it's not that I'm some woke liberal cuckoo bird either, because you know, by even because if I were, I would say that all conservatives are evil fucking degenerates, but I'm not. I don't have a problem with all conservatives here. I don't have a problem with Tony Abbott. I don't have a problem with Boris Johnson for the most part. I don't even have a problem with, most of the conservatives in Europe, right? But American conservatives are really a special case, because those guys are so conservative, they are so far to the right that they make anyone who has some liberal principles look sane, right? The thing is, it's very strange because America has never actually had a true leftist movement. People like Bill Maher don't even count as leftists. These guys are vitriolically xenophobic. For example, back in 2014, they were making a Bill Maher episode about the Egyptian riots, right, back in Egypt. And for the record, Egypt is in North Africa. It's not even in Arabia. But to many people in America who are geographically, you know, ignorant, they think everything with Arab-looking people is an Arab country, right? Even though, yeah, Egypt is not an Arab country. And they were talking about this South African female journalist who was sexually assaulted during the riots. And Bill Maher he basically said very, very indignantly back in 2014, and I quote, "Talk to women who've ever dated an Arab man. The reviews are not good. Civilization begins with civilizing the men," right? What's wrong with saying they're worse? I'm not prejudiced. I'm only keeping it real. Being prejudiced would be prejudging. I'm not judging Arab men. I'm not being prejudging Arab men. I'm judging them. They have a quote unquote sense of entitlement. And the funny thing is that despite all the virtue signaling on the political right about, treating others by the content of their character and not the color of their skin. They love to virtue signal by, pretending to um, basically use Martin Luther King as their mascot. Like every time somebody says anything that could be construed as remotely hostile to white people as a collective, the American Republicans go like, people should be judged by the content of their character, not the color of their skin. But that's what leftist liberals do. And yet, where were those right-wingers when Bill Maher was judging Arab men as innately vile, misogynistic rapists? Even he didn't say Muslim men, mind you. If he said Muslim men, it would still have been bigoted. Like if you said Muslim men were were vile, misogynistic rapists, it would still be bigoted. But at least it wouldn't be racial. But the fact that he used the term Arab was quite palpably a racial expression. So you can't use Islam is not a race defense against that. So where were those American Republicans when Bill Maher, basically insinuated very, very clearly that Arab men were, innately evil. They were horrible rapists with a sense of entitlement to women's bodies who needed to be civilized, very, very Orientalist sort of diction, mind you. Where were they at that particular point in time? It's bloody hot. Sorry, I need to wipe my face. It's a really hot day, so beg your pardon if I wipe my face from time to time. Malaysia is a hot country, so yeah. Anyway, where were they? The right-wingers were like crickets. But then suddenly they got all their panties in a tizzy when suddenly African Americans start talking about critical race theory. Suddenly they're like, oh, Martin Luther King said judge people by the content of their character, not the color of their skin. And yet they're calling Bill Maher a sane liberal, even though Bill Maher is horribly, horribly xenophobic against Arabs. If you go back to the time when he fellated Israel's attacks on Gaza, he basically said that I feel terrible for a Palestinian child who dies. Bullshit, he doesn't. That's just crocodile tears. But anyway, if it's your father or brother or uncle firing those rockets into Israel, what do you expect Israel to do? So you see, basically, American liberals like Maher don't really count as left-wingers in other parts of the world. Even right-wingers in countries like Australia, people like Tony Abbott or Pauline Hanson, as bigoted as they may be, they would not be caught dead saying half of the stuff Bill Maher feels at liberty to say. And they definitely would not be calling themselves a house nigger in a flippant, facetious manner, because right-wingers in other parts of the world they are not the same as right-wingers in America. Right-wingers in America, are really, really a special breed of people. They're not, I use breed as my diction because they're not even like right-wingers in other parts of the world, if you compare them to even like for example, you wouldn't see Tony Abbott or saying half of the shit people like Ben Shapiro say. Like, go back to what people like Ben Shapiro have said, about dead Iraqis, like dead Afghanis. I think it was Ben Shapiro who said that the life of a dead Afghan citizen is less than the life of a dead American soldier. I don't really care about dead Afghanis or Iraqis, I forgot. But the fact is, the right wing of America is so xenophobic, so homophobic, so misogynistic, so capitalist. They are an amalgamation of all the bad traits of humanity, that anyone who shows even a little bit of sanity in America is considered a left winger, right? Even though they're not even left-wingers. Like Bill Maher is perhaps, a little bit saner than his friends like Ann Coulter or Milo Yiannopoulos or Jordan Peterson. He's a little bit saner, right? But he doesn't count as a left-winger in other parts of the world because he still shares the same Orientalist, xenophobic, right-wing views as his counterparts on the right, right? Um, it's not that it's not that left wingers have gone crazy and the pendulum has swung too far to the left in America. Rather, America has always been a very, very, very right wing Christian, white nationalist society. Throughout most of its modern existence, America has been a society rooted in white Anglo-Saxon Christian supremacy. I know this is going to offend some people. I'm not putting down Americans as people yet. But mainstream American culture has always been a society rooted in xenophobia, homophobia, and white Anglo-Saxon Christian extremism, right? Even people like Thomas Jefferson, who are not Christians, right? Jefferson kept slaves, even though he said slavery was a blot on humanity. But Jefferson's ideal, okay, even if you defend Jefferson on the grounds that slavery was an economic necessity at the time to keep his, he had to keep his Monticello estate running because for economic reasons, right? For the good of the collective. Even if you defend him on those grounds, Jefferson's ideal society was not this multicultural, society where white people, black people, Asian people hold hands and sing kumbaya. No, Jefferson's ideal society was that after the abolition of slavery, the blacks would be sent back to Africa, and America would pretty much be a white basically a white ethno-state. I think the term for it is manifest destiny. That was the ideal of the founding fathers like Jefferson, George Washington, and people like that. Well, a couple of them didn't think that way, of course, but if you ask Jefferson and George Washington, that's how they thought. So when they said that all men were created equal, they weren't thinking about me. They weren't thinking about non-white, cisgendered, heterosexual men, right? So the thing is, America now, it seems to think that, anything that's remotely left, even Bernie Sanders doesn't actually count as very, very left wing, even though he's considered a crazy progressive socialist by right wingers in America. Because anything remotely to the left to them, anything that's remotely, left wing is considered crazy to them, right? Like even the idea of universal healthcare, that's a practice that's been successfully implemented in countries like Denmark, Sweden, Norway, Japan, South Korea, even Malaysia. Even that is considered too radical for American right-wingers, because American right-wingers are not the same as other right-wingers. Like, right-wingers like Tony Abbott or Boris Johnson, yeah, they might be bigoted in their own way. They might be homophobic, they might be sexist, they might be, they might even be a tad bit racist, right? But they won't get triggered like American right-wingers like Thomas Sowell do if they see like a school organizing a trip to help homeless people. Now, they might not care to chip in any help themselves, but they don't get triggered with the same kind of visceral hate, anger that some right-wingers do when they see like schools organizing events for the students to help homeless, because pull yourself up by your bootstraps, you lazy bum. So the funny thing is that America it's not really a country of Christian values. It's a country of Romanized Anglo-Saxon Christianity, but not the original source material Christianity that was practiced in ancient Palestine, right? Can you imagine like Jesus saying that, oh, okay, do you have medical insurance? All right, sorry, I can't cure you if you don't have medical insurance. So tough luck, buddy. Go get a job, you lazy bum. Mm. Can you imagine Jesus doing that? Something like that. America's favorite Palestinian philosopher. So yeah, I mean, American right wingers, they're just a special breed of evil. They're not by this point. It's not even the fact that they are right wing that's the problem. Okay, people don't dislike them because they are right wing. They just like them because they just dislike them because they're a bunch of fucking evil turds, like Mr. Brocklehurst from Jane Eyre. Yeah, that's the type of American Christian right winger that you see, right? Yeah, so yeah, don't people who support Bill Maher, people who say, oh, I used to think I was a Republican, I used to think I was a right winger, but now Bill Maher, you've made me realize that I'm actually a sane liberal. Don't pat yourself on the back. Don't flatter yourself. You are a far righter. You are right to the side of Tony Abbott and Boris Johnson and Pauline Hanson. You just don't know it. You just don't like calling yourself a right winger because that's an unfashionable term. But Bill Maher was, judging by his, the thing about right wingers in America and left wingers is that they're two sides of the same snake. Right wingers, people like Shapiro and people like Ronald Reagan, or people like General Patton, for example, they make their contempt for colored people, for non-whites, very, very clear. They say that, yeah, of course, their lives are less valuable than ours, of course. Fuck them. Blow them to smithereens, who cares? But left-wingers, like Bill Maher, they share their right-wing counterparts' imperialist views and Orientalist Orientalist views on people of color. But the thing about left-wing sane American liberals is that they're not really sane liberals. They are the same category of people as their friends on the right, but they have better social skills than their friends on the right? So instead, they couch their xenophobic, genocidal language in social justice. Notice how Bill Maher is saying we need to civilize Arab men as if they were animals, and how he defends Israeli attacks on Gaza, and defends the occupation of Israel. Basically, they are the left wingers, moderate leftists like Bill Maher, that they're just as genocidal and hateful of certain races as their right-wing counterparts. But they've got better social skills, and they do it under the guise of social justice. So the right-winger will say, we need to invade the Middle East and kill their leaders and convert those bastards to Christianity, or blow them to smithereens if they decline our liberal values. But the left-wingers will say, think about the women. People like Bill Maher will say, think about the women. Think about how women suffer under the oppression of Arab men. We need to invade their countries, kill the men, take the women for ourselves. And and basically, when they hate other races, typically they only hate the men. Yeah, that's the thing. And they hide their xenophobia, their imperialism. People like Bill Maher, Laowhy86, YouTuber, Vaush, they hide their imperialism, their xenophobia under the guise of social justice, even though they themselves are no great supporters of feminism and things like that in their own countries. But it's basically white man's burden 2.0, We need to liberate the oppressed Oriental women from the big, bad, oppressive Oriental men, killing them if necessary. All right. Thank you. Have a good day.